So you've got a good memory. We're starting now.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll start now.
So you've got a good memory. Basically, if you bring history into this, what do you think it's about? Just basically.
If I bring history into it, what do I think it's about? Well, I just think it's about, it says that the dragon tries to destroy the woman, tries to destroy Yisrael. Any resemblance of truth, it's done that through bringing all the paganism in, sun worship, replacement theology. It's done everything to try and wash away the names, power, the word. Of course, it says that the woman births a child. First it's talking about Yahusha himself, who goes back into the higher dimension, but then it's talking about a remnant whisked away into the wilderness, which is a place of training and safety and growing. So throughout history, I just think it's the enemy it's the dragon trying to destroy any resemblance of Yahusha, because he knows his time is short. He knows he's only got an allotted time and space to do this in. He's going to destroy as many people as he can, because he knows from what happened previously when he got booted out that it's going to happen again. So I don't know if that answered your question.
Yes, you did. That's fine. Just a summary.
Well,
so
religion,
you've got all that. All you guys have got that summary.
Religion was started on a mixture.
Yeah.
And the mixture got more and more watered down.
Yeah.
Until there was practically no truth in it. And then we started a gradual restoration truth until you've got now the names and the feasts, and now we've got the true walk, which is behaviour. And now we're just waiting on the fresh things of Yahusha. I can't see any major cataclysmic events that are going to happen, like revelations of truth to come. It's more just interpreting what's already there.
That's what we need to do, isn't it?
It's kind of history, I think.
So everyone's got a very basic understanding, not a theological understanding, just a basic understanding where you can bypass lots of stuff.
Did you understand what I said?
Can you start off with the first verse?
Revelation 12.
Yeah.
And a great sign was seen in the 𝗪𝗪.
Well, in the heaven.
In the heaven, a woman clad with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and on her head a crown of 12 stars.
Right. Who do you think that woman is? Lou's got a side note there that says
Yisrael.
Yisrael.
So who do you think that woman is?
Yisrael.
Well, that's good.
Yahusha's chosen.
Remember, it's all symbolic as well.
Yeah.
So it's symbolic, yeah.
Well,
going back in history,
12 stars. Joseph was going on about 12 stars, 12 tribes, 12 apostles, 12. I think it's I've always thought it's Yisrael. At this point in the story.
When Mary had Yahusha, right? She was a surrogate. Now, when a woman has a baby with her husband, that baby takes in her blood, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Well, she's clothed in all those things. What are those things she's clothed in? She's anointed, and she's, she's clothed in the sun, and she's totally protected.
Yeah.
With the crown of stars on her head. So they say that Yahusha didn't take of her blood. That it was all, the birth was all encased in like the afterbirth, and the afterbirth was, she was a surrogate and he was divinity coming into flesh. But they say that he did not take of her blood.
It's interesting.
He just used her. He just used her as a surrogate.
Mm. Yeah.
So it
That's
must have
interesting.
been of Yahuwah's blood then. It must have been divine.
Yeah. How do you feel about this process?
Never heard of that before. I haven't understood, but that's literally, I know that's sort of what happened.
He had to come through flesh
Hmm.
and take on flesh,
Yeah.
but
But
it
he
was the
didn't take on
divine creation
the
in
blood
him.
of the mother.
That's right. So if he did take the blood of the mother,
Be defiled.
that's right, his sin.
Hmm.
That makes sense.
And this woman, we look at Mary's birth,
Mm.
and Lou says it's Yisrael.
Mm.
When you look in history, what sort of a version of Yisrael was there at that time?
Idolatrous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very religious.
Sinful, wicked.
I mean, numbers.
Oh, how many were there?
Well, what sort of numbers would there have been? Were they organised
No.
like the emissaries?
No, they were all scattered.
Yeah.
There was only a couple of tribes hanging around Jerusalem by the time Yahusha came along.
Yeah, but within those tribes, there were those that believed in the Messiah coming.
Hmm.
Yeah.
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 So it wasn't a big amount.
No, not at all.
It wasn't formulated like they did, like the emissaries did, and had group meetings and things like that.
No.
It was very sparse.
Mm.
And then this woman appears and says she's birthing the Messiah.
Mm.
And everyone just ridiculed her and didn't believe her or anything until there was confirmation with angels and all that sort of thing appearing, if you look at the history.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
So the only form of Israel that was there was religious.
Yeah, but they believed. It's a
Yeah.
remnant.
Mm.
A remnant,
Oh,
very
for
small remnant of believers. That's why she had to buzz off into Egypt, you know, because Herod was killing all the
Do you
babies.
think this is just a historical?
I think it's symbolic,
Yeah.
you know, I think it's symbolic,
Yeah.
the woman appearing there because of what goes on after. Let's go to the next verse.
Hmm.
So there's a woman,
And being
12
pregnant.
stars on her head. And being pregnant, she cried out in labour and in pain to give birth.
Yeah.
And another sign was seen in the heaven, and see a great fiery red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns on his head.
Yeah.
And his tail draws a third of the stars of the heaven and throws them to the earth.
So who are the stars?
The 12 tribes of Israel.
Well, in this situation, I think Satan fell and he threw. He brought a third of the messengers, the angels, with him. So I think it's
They're demons.
the symbolism's just shooting left, right, and centre. So I think it's just
Wasn't that at
now.
the beginning of creation though?
That's what they say.
A lot of people think that,
yeah.
but as we go further on, what do you find out?
How could Satan be accusing Job at the throne room of Yahusha if he still had access?
He did have access.
He must have had access after the creation account.
Yeah.
So somewhere later on, he was kicked out.
Yeah, well,
He's
you see
furious, he
that.
can't go back.
Go on.
And his tail draws a third of the stars, throws them to the earth.
So that's the demons.
Yeah.
They were thrown to the earth.
Mm.
So we're talking about the war in Shemayim, aren't we?
Yeah.
In heaven.
Definitely.
Yeah?
And the dragon stood before the woman who was about to give birth to devour her child as soon as it was born.
Yeah. And she bore a male child.
Who was to shepherd all the nations with a rod of iron.
Who's that?
Well,
Yahusha.
that's Yahusha.
So who's the symbol of the woman?
Well, it must have been the mother.
In a
Mary.
natural sense, it would be Miriam. Mary, his mother. So, looking at it physically, it would.
Well, it
Keep it
happens.
simple, stupid.
Well, yeah. Well, we're keeping it simple.
Yeah.
So,
Put your hands over your glasses, everybody. Keep your train of thought. Driving me mad. Bloody vermin.
you praying, Josiah?
You'll remember what you were thinking? Go on.
So when we look at history, we can see this going on.
Yeah.
It's symbolic.
I've never ever thought of it like this. That's insane.
Wonderful.
Well, you know, if Satan's wanting to get her man-child, you know what happened, how they had to buzz off to
Yeah.
Egypt,
Yeah.
so Satan couldn't
Well,
kill
Herod
him.
wanted to kill
I
everyone.
mean, there was no other situation since Egypt that somebody came after and slaughtered all these babies.
Children.
So they must. That's definitely demonic. That's definitely Satan.
Yeah.
So the wise men and all the soothsayers and sorcerers would have been like, "This is now. This is now." Telling the king, and he would have been off his face. Better kill all the babies. I think you're right. Definitely.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Mm.
And there's nobody else that was going to rule the nations with a rod of iron.
No.
Now, what would the nations be there? Because this is symbolic of looking in the future. The nations. He's going to rule the nations with a rod of iron.
The world.
So out of from this time when Yahusha was there to now, we look at the history, and the sons and daughters of Yahuwah are coming through now. They're being metamorphized into his new creation. You look at that, and you see here, he rules his people with a rod of iron, which is the goading and the chastising and the flogging and the discipline.
Yeah. Wow.
And so he has been doing that all through the remnant that's been growing.
Yeah.
You know, over the years, all the people, all the different generations that have had a chance to know him, or he has called them, and those remnant have stuck with him. You know that since Christianity started, well, we'll go on further and we'll see that. Yeah, where are we up to now? And her child was caught away to Yahuwah and to his throne. So that would be after Yahusha's death. Yeah?
Yep.
So Yahusha goes up to the throne room.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Through the portal.
Yeah. Go on, Marky.
And the woman fled into the wilderness, where she has a place prepared by Yahuwah to be nourished there 1260 days.
So looking at symbolism, she birthed the child. That would be Mary. Right?
Yeah.
She birthed the child, and he lived and ministered and died, and he went up to Shemayim,
Yeah.
to the throne.
Yeah. Totally.
Right? So when he gets up to the throne, what happens? Go on.
And there came to be fighting in the heaven. Michael and his messengers fought against the dragon, and the dragon and his messengers fought, but they were not strong enough, nor was a place found for them in the heaven any longer.
Oh, because Yahusha kicked him out.
That's what Yahusha did. When he won the battle,
Mm.
he came up and kicked Satan and his demons out of the throne room.
cleansed both dimensions.
Yeah, with his blood.
Mm.
That's why he had to come in the flesh. And that's why he was a new creation.
Mm.
And he had the power. He's a brand new creation.
Yeah.
Yahusha.
Only he could cleanse this dimension because he was a man, and that dimension because he was spirit. He was both.
Got your
It's
thinking
amazing.
cap
Yeah.
on.
That's amazing. That was when he appeared as the lamb, freshly slain,
Yeah,
offered his blood up.
yeah. So he came up there and did all that, cleansed everything, and got his angels to boot Satan and his demons out.
Yeah. It's interesting because you think,
You look between the lines. Remember, this is discerned what?
abstractly.
Abstractly discerned.
So maybe Lucifer, who was the grand archangel and orchestra of music, he revolted against Yahusha and was kicked out, but obviously still had access. I mean, he couldn't have...
He was there.
Yeah, but I'm saying obviously this isn't when he stopped becoming good.
Well, he had demons or fallen angels working with him.
He could obviously still go into the...
Yes.
Yeah.
But not anymore.
So he obviously fell somewhere before.
Well, it goes on, doesn't
But
it?
yeah, it's amazing.
Oh, you mean he fell?
He fell,
Well, he thought he tricked
but he still had
everybody.
access.
He thought he tricked Yahusha.
Yeah,
He had access, he had everything, he was still entitled,
yeah,
and he was treated like that, even though he was a liar.
yeah.
But Yahusha had a plan,
Yeah.
and the new creation is the plan. As Yahusha booted Satan, the evil one, out of Shemayim, we may boot Satan out of our temple.
Beautiful.
We have that power because he's got the power, and he's injected us with a portion of his spirit with the same power, but we have to actually put it to practice and boot all those bad behaviours and ideas and habits. We have to boot them out of our vessel
Yeah.
so that we're in contact. He wants a clean, pure contact. That's why he wants a clean, pure bride.
Wow.
And our behaviour has to change,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because we can't be saying we believe this and be immersed and just go along and behave how we want to, can we? Really?
Oh.
And this is the battle of the flesh against the spirit. And spirit and Satan wants the hearts and minds of men.
Yeah.
Go on.
So they were not strong enough, nor was a place found for them in the heaven any longer. And the great dragon was thrown out, that serpent of old called the devil.
So when you see the serpent of old, who do you think of?
Garden of Eden.
Yeah. He was there then, doing all this dreadful stuff. So Yahuwah was aware of him,
Yeah.
and this is the time when Yahusha appeared, the Messiah, and he came up and booted him out, said, that's it, you've had it, your time's up.
Access denied.
Yeah,
Computer says
He
no.
locked the gates.
yep.
The serpent of old called the devil and Shaitan, who leads all the world astray.
That's what he does. He leads all the world astray, trying to make out that this is nothing. He was ruling in heaven, and what do you call it when someone tries to take over the position of
Usurp.
usurping himself above Yahuwah?
Coup, yeah.
Yeah, but he thought he had a coup, but he was usurping himself above the truth of Yahuwah. But Yahuwah's being patient. So how much patience can we see?
Oh, insane.
Because he's waiting for his plan.
6,000 years.
He knows what he's doing. He's just bringing it all about. Yeah, go on.
He was thrown down to the earth, and his Malachim, his messengers, were thrown out with him.
Yeah.
And I heard a loud voice saying in the heaven, now have come the deliverance and the power and the reign of our Yahuwah and the authority of his Mashiach. For the accuser of our brothers, who accused them before our Yahuwah day and night, has been thrown down.
Yeah.
Wow.
So what do you think of that?
Yeah.
Who threw him out?
Yahusha.
He no longer has access or the ability to accuse us. We've always said, oh, he's accusing us, maybe to us, but he can't approach the throne anymore.
No.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
That's why he's so angry.
That's it. And they?
And they overcame him because of the blood of the Lamb and because of the word of their witness. And they did not love their lives to the death.
Now, who's that talking about?
Yeah, the emissaries.
I would say so.
Because they were there that time when they're talking about it, and they didn't love their lives to the death. They all died as martyrs.
And they were immersed and got his spirit. And then they started, what? The Surah?
Oh, they spread the word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So who hates that?
Yeah.
So all of a sudden now, we're back with the emissaries.
Yeah.
Back to Earth.
Because that's where he was booted out to.
Yeah.
And he's already been overcome in the higher dimension, and this is how they overcame him.
Because of the blood.
Because of the blood.
Yahusha's blood.
The same blood.
Hey, isn't this exciting?
This is amazing.
Yeah. Interdimensional blood.
Yeah.
Oh, the Lamb.
So we're in and out of Shemayim,
Yeah.
down to Earth and into history with Mary, and going through all that.
Yeah.
He needed a surrogate, so she was clothed in all that stuff to be safe while she was bringing the birth. And Satan was there trying to get the baby.
Yeah.
Whoosh. You look at history, they had to go into Egypt. He was snatched up after he'd been here for 3.5 years, snatched up to heaven. And this is what he did when he got into Shemayim, heaven.
Wow.
Go on.
Because of this, rejoice, O Charmaim, and you who dwell in them. Woe to the earth and the sea, because the devil has come down to you, having great wrath, knowing that he has little time.
He's knowing this.
He knows he's got little time.
Yeah.
And when the dragon saw that he had been thrown to the earth, he persecuted the woman who gave birth to the male child.
Now stop there for a minute. I just love the scripture for me. Oh, it's so wonderful. And when the dragon saw that he had been thrown to the earth, so he was thrown to the earth before he even saw.
That's funny. That's thrown down like lightning,
He'd
isn't
been
it?
thrown down, then he went,
That's
what?
a
Well,
mighty
it
kick.
said he came down like lightning,
Yeah.
didn't it?
Look
I
where I
saw-
am.
Satan fall like lightning.
Well, but when he realised he was thrown down to earth, he didn't realise.
No.
He thought he was so big on his ego and flying and think he's fooled everybody. And Yahusha booted him out and he didn't even know
What an amazing point.
until he was down there.
Yeah. And he had no other response but to, like a child, get furious at whoever was around him,
Wah.
the male child.
That's it. And what did he do after that when he realised he was booted out?
He went after the woman
Who gave birth to the male child. So who would that be?
Well, in the natural, we were talking about Mary,
History, yeah.
history, but she's, well, yeah, she was still around, but
She was
would have
still
been her.
around when you look at...
It would have been her.
Well, he did come after her too, didn't he?
yeah,
He did come after her.
Yeah.
But it also speaks
of a group of
of
people,
the seed of
of a nation,
the remnant, yeah.
because that
Those
becomes the
people that
remnant.
were still the remnant there.
Yeah.
So he wanted to get them all and kill them. because through them he could see their belief was what activated Yahusha's to do all this.
Yeah.
You know, he's just in shock and fury and hatred and didn't even realise he'd been booted out. That's how big his ego was. You know people like that?
Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah.
They can't even see they've been booted out. Yeah, go on.
And and the woman was given 2 wings of a great eagle to fly into the wilderness to her place, where she is nourished for a time and times and a half time from the presence of the serpent.
So what does that speak of?
Well, it's the woman, so the nation, a group of people from where the man-child came from, Yahusha, they were given wings that they escaped. She escaped.
So the emissaries were in full force here, weren't they?
Yeah.
And they were preaching the parables.
Yeah.
And so we look at the planting, you know, the wheat and the tares. And she's taken into a place where she's safe in amongst religion.
Yeah.
Remember, she came back. Mary came back from Egypt when the King Herod had died, and so she was safe to mix in with everybody else. So it also speaks of the the Yisrael. Yeah. Go on.
Being protected. And out of his mouth the serpent spewed water like a river after the woman, to cause her to be swept away by the river. And the earth helped the woman.
Oh, see what Lou said there?
Oh, yeah.
Pressure and...
false teachings.
I think that's that.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
So this is when Christianity would have come in.
Yeah.
You know? This is when, before the Dark Ages, this is just the beginning of the Dark Ages, when all that came in, and they had religion ruling, and there wasn't very much of a remnant, because all the emissaries were killed by then. So Satan thought, well, if I kill the seed, there's no one left to do it, so I'm going to rule the earth.
Yeah.
I'm going to destroy everyone I can.
And even if I get destroyed, he still won't have a bride. He still won't have his creation anymore.
Yeah.
Take everyone down with him.
But you can see further on in history what he's doing to his bride today. You know, they're going through a metamorphosis experience.
Yeah.
And they're changing from within.
Yeah.
Like he did. He came into flesh. He took on flesh. And he changed it to a new creation. He's the first fruits of the new creation. We are here now being changed from within. Yeah, go on.
So
the earth helped.
The river swept away there, and the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened its mouth and swallowed up the river, which the dragon had spewed out of his mouth.
So that's all the lies.
Yeah.
So it's going to fall. Religion's going to fall. It is falling. A lot of people very despondent and unhappy.
Yeah.
But they get upset when they realise they have to go through Yahusha's process first before they will be accepted by him.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, he's still going on with the process with the ones that he's chosen. And the wheat is planted with the weeds. The wheat and the weeds are all growing up to be what they are. Right? The wheat's going to bear fruit, the behaviour.
Yes.
Okay? And when she gets to the fullness of the behaviour,
Harvest.
he swoops in, Yeah, go on.
And the dragon was enraged with the woman, and he went to fight with the remnant of her seed, those guarding the commandments of Yahuwah and possessing the witness of Yahusha Mashiach.
So since Yahusha went up to heaven, he's trusted his word, the seed he's planted in people, and all through the generations there's been a certain amount of remnant until this time where his bride's starting to manifest. We're in the last generation.
Yeah. That's interesting.
It's an interesting way to look at it.
Yeah. Totally.
Anyone got anything they want to say?
Well, it says the dragon was enraged with the woman and went to fight with the remnant of her seed.
What would that be?
But clearly the woman's not here anymore, otherwise he'd fight the woman. He's so angry and the woman's not around, so he's got to fight with the remnant of her seed.
The remnant, those that believe,
Yeah.
those that take on the mantle, those that get
Those
the
who
spirit.
hold those who are obedient to Yahusha's instructions and his witness.
Thing is, you just can't be obedient. You have to be chosen. You have to hear him call you, and you go in the water and you give yourself to him, and he's going to come in, and that's what everyone on the earth is going to. Remember, the wheat grows up at the same time because it's a plant, and what it's supposed to do with the sunlight and the rain is grow and bear the fruit. That's the natural thing it's supposed to do. And so everyone is going to get to that same place, the ones that he's chosen. But remember, there's 10 virgins, 5 are wise, 5 are foolish. So they'll be growing up
together,
but they won't have the oil.
No.
They won't have that planting in them, the seed from him. So when we get immersed and our hearts circumcised, he puts a portion of his spirit in us, so we have the power to overcome the world.
Yeah. I agree.
It's a very simple way to look at it all, and it's all in history, like it's come through, and it's now for today. It's not something magical. It's going to happen in the sky, and you know, the woman being, you know, the church or the believers or whatever, and all
Because
this
it's symbolic.
magic stuff. I just find it so much understanding there, just to, it's reasonable, you know.
Well, that's how he does
how
it. We discern it.
Scripture's got to be simple like that. I love it.
Yeah. So how do we discern it?
Abstractly.
So can you see the abstractness in looking at the scripture this way, the message that's coming through?
Nothing's more abstract than Revelation.
Yeah, well,
Can't put a pattern to that.
it all mixes in, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It is like a pattern, though.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. From
If you look at it from the different
itself.
point,
Yeah.
But it jumps from one era to the other.
Yeah.
But it brings in all the whole story of creation into it as well.
Yeah, right from the garden serpent, that old serpent.
Yeah. Yeah.
We had the power in us to defeat him, overcome him.
Yeah.
Wonderful, brothers and sisters.
That's amazing.
Hi, everybody.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So you said you saw a whole lot of commentaries and things about this. When you look at this, what's the comparison to you?
Ours is a lot simpler, a lot real, a lot more accurate. Because let's be honest, most commentaries out there are either Jewish or Christian, so, and they all think they're the bride. So, and that's good. We can hide amongst them, like we've been talking about. We don't get all the stuff from the dragon. We're sort of hiding in the wilderness, being perfected. But no, I was fascinated to see where we went today, because I knew it would be just simple. A child should be able to read this and go, oh yeah. I mean, Revelation's probably the hardest one, because it's all very abstract.
Yeah, but it's at the end of his
Symbolic.
But
plan.
there's a reason it's at the end, because after you've read everything else, oh, that was from that was from that was from that.
That's it.
And this is the culmination of it.
Mm.
That serpent, we're obviously supposed to know who the serpent is because we read Genesis, so like it's just, yeah, it interprets itself. But no, I'd never read anywhere about Satan being booted out when Yahusha went into the dimension, and not until we discussed it years ago. I thought, no, never anywhere has anyone ever told me that. It was always in the beginning.
Yeah.
So if he's been booted out, how's he going up there saying, look at Job, look at this guy, look at that guy? How does he have access to do that? Because we always think that that's clean and earth's unclean. But no, it was just as it's unclean up there too.
That's why the blood had to cleanse it.
Yeah.
Boot him out.
Yeah.
So it's clean now.
Amazing.
Yeah, he can't get in.
Since Yahusha's booted him out.
They're all on earth.
Mm.
Satan and his demons are here.
Fantastic.
If he was booted out when Yahusha was killed and the blood cleansed it, does that mean he got himself booted out by killing Yahusha?
He couldn't kill Yahusha.
By like getting
You understand about Yahusha's blood? That he took his blood up. Remember the tabernacle, the priests used to have to sprinkle the blood of the animals on the altar? Well, Yahusha took his own blood up with him and sprinkled it, because he was covered in blood when he went up there. And he sprinkled that all over 𝗪𝗓𝗪 and the throne. And that's his blood sacrifice is what cleanses and heals. So it cleansed and healed 𝗪𝗪𝗪. That was his plan, to come down and then to go back and do that and boot Satan out. Now Satan's down here, but he's a spirit. He can't be in the flesh like we are. And with Yahusha's spirit in us, we're a brand new creation, not just what we were before. He's changing us. Now surely you must see what's going on with you as you're walking and living in your daily life. How's that going? Are you winning or are you losing? What percentage are you winning? Remember, you've got witnesses here.
45%.
I can't hear you.
45%.
45%. What do you two think of that?
Oh, I think it's more than that. But yeah.
I think it's probably about 60-65% winning.
So you've seen a change in him.
Yeah.
Big change.
So what's happening to you?
It's not easy. You've got a lot of children around you that rub you up the wrong way. So it's not all you, mate.
Do you let go and go off your head?
Sometimes.
And how do you feel after that?
Terrible.
Oh, mate, I can't stand that feeling.
That's the training.
You've got to fight yourself not to say it or do it. And Satan's just at you constantly to stir up trouble in this house.
He's telling us why he's at us.
Because he got booted out.
He's about to be destroyed. So how angry is he at us?
Don't you love the fact that he's got booted out?
Didn't even know.
Didn't even know.
Oblivious.
Stupid.
He was oblivious.
What do you think of that? What would have happened to him that he didn't know?
Just knocked out.
Like instantaneous. Like lightning.
Yeah.
Lightning
Unconscious.
strike and he just says,
Yeah.
Oh, he probably was unconscious.
yeah,
He didn't know that Yahusha had that power, see?
no. He tricked himself into thinking he was just as good and
Well, he's a new creation. Yahuwah
Yeah.
made himself Yahusha
yeah,
and just let forth,
yeah.
because everything had to be done in heaven as it is in earth.
Yeah.
So the temple was set up, that all failed, but then he made our bodies the temple so he can come in and help us. Like I've said to you, I'd love to be able to get into you and help you and do it. You can't. It's got to be Yahusha.
Yeah.
You know?
That's it. Completely.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah.
We added a bit more, didn't Yeah. But you're not confused about that now? Yeah. So you know what he actually did when he was here. How many kids at school would know that?
None.
Yeah. So that's what you're up against. So, you know, I would just shut up and go about and make friends, and I would shut up about it until you really feel strong to tell somebody, and then you're going to get attacked. The minute you open your mouth, Satan will be on you. So you've got to be very wise, you know, not to get caught. You know how sneaky I am? Don't you, Josiah? You've got to be sneaky if you don't want to get caught. Everyone's out to get you that hasn't got your spirit. Everyone, they hate you. So you got to be really careful. I don't want to go back and be all that. I want to be happy and at peace like this, you know. Woo. Wonderful. Any more questions? Anybody got something?
No, not for me.
How did you feel about it, Josiah? Did you enjoy it?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's great, eh?
The whole, it's not in this bit, but the whole metamorphosis and the whole butterfly and I mean, we've been saying for years, oh, he's the first fruit. We're going to follow him. We'll be new creatures like him, da da da. But actually, this is why we're going through such agony. He's actually birthing. What does a woman go through for 9 months? Birthing something inside us that's actually going to not only come from us, but consume us. The flesh will be rent, and this will be a new creation.
So what did he do in heaven when he went up there?
Cleansed it.
And what?
Cleansed it with his blood, booted out the enemy.
Booted out the enemy.
Yeah.
So he comes in us.
Boots
Cleanses
out the
us
enemy.
through the immersion, cleanses us legally, and starts booting out the enemy. And we've got to keep him out. Yeah, because you can't have two different spirits in the same vessel. The spirit is out, and he's constantly trying to get back in.
So how furious is he that he's out?
Yeah. And we have to keep him out.
Yeah. Well, he can't get in if we say no.
No.
That's
No,
what it says.
no.
That's what it says when he goes out, and if you don't keep your vessel clean,
And
and
his mates.
he brings his mates back in, and
That's
he's
right.
7 times worse. That's amazing understanding, really.
Yeah. And Micah, sitting there, might be furious, and he's saying to himself, no, you're not having me. I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to do it. And you have the power, when you say no, it says resist Satan and he will flee. He will go if you resist him. You have to actually literally put it into practice.
no.
Say, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to say it.
That really works.
And you can see why Satan hates anybody to know about this, can't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Ooh.
Such venom, isn't it? So cruel.
He hates Yahusha, and he hates the seed of Yahusha. Hates it, but he can't stop it. It's growing, and a new creation is birthing within our flesh. The same as he did, he came into Mary, and she was a surrogate. Our vessel is a surrogate for Yahusha to come in.
Wonderful.
And boot out the
Stop it.
evil and change the behaviour.
Quick, pass the plate. That's wonderful. I love it. We're a surrogate. Oh,
Our vessel is.
remember all those alien movies? We're a surrogate.
Boot it out.
Yeah.
Boot it out.
You're hilarious.
It's wonderful. I love it.
Well, that'll do. Thanks, brothers and sisters. Hope this helps. We love you so much. Keep going. Say goodbye, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.